Everyone hear me okay? My name is Lorenzo. I was a sergeant in the Italian army during World War II. We were fighting in 1943, mainly in North Africa, with our allies, the Germans. The conditions there, they were difficult, as we were in the desert. Conditions were bad. We had shortages of food, fuel, and equipment. We fought against the British and their American allies, mainly in Libya and in Egypt, trying to cut off Britain from the oil fields in the Middle East and from the Suez Canal, which is the shortest distance to the British Empire in Asia. I was captured though in 1943. I was given to the Americans as a prisoner of war. I was held in a prisoner of war in North Africa for some time, but soon I was transported by ship back to the United States.
Hello, my name is Josephine, but my friends and family call me Jo. The United States entered World War II after the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. 4 days later, Hitler and Mussolini declared war against the United States. I was a senior in high school at the time. I will never forget December 7, 1941, the day that the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor. President Franklin Roosevelt described it as a day that will live in infamy. I felt so vulnerable, so afraid. That day changed my life in so many ways. After I finished high school, I started working for the Pueblo Ordnance Depot. By August of 1942, carloads of ammunition were being received for storage and future use. I knew my job at the depot was a vital job, which would help my country in the war effort. My older brother, he was in the National Guard. He was a member of the now famous Fighting 157. He was part of the forces that invaded Italy, landing by Sicily, then by barges at Salerno. Many American soldiers, for that fact, many Colorado soldiers, died in Italy during World War II.
When I arrived in the United States, I was put on a train. I traveled for what seemed like forever. The United States, it's far bigger than Italy. When I first arrived at the prisoner of war camp, the sky was as bright and blue as it is in Italy. Well, the number of prisoners was quite small. We were all Italians. The conditions, though, they were difficult. I barely spoke any English. I missed my friends. I missed my family and my home. I had to work in the fields often. It was at a place called the Pueblo Ordnance Depot.
The war years were so hard. So many of the men were enlisted or drafted. There weren't many men available to date. My life focused on my job, my family, my friends. We were asked to make so many sacrifices. Food was rationed, gasoline was rationed. New tires weren't available for cars. People were left behind. In 1909, my family came to this country. My parents still spoke Italian to my mom and dad, to my grandma and my grandpa, which I called mom and dad. I learned some Italian myself, but sadly I never spoke it outside my home. Imagine my surprise when I learned there were Italian prisoners being housed at the Pueblo Ordnance Depot. I remember telling my family about these men.
I still could not believe what happened. The camp, it was not a secure facility. We were required to do our work, yes, but on the weekends, we were free to leave the camp. We could go to the church, to Mass. I attended Mass regularly at Mount Carmel in the Grove. Many of the parishioners there, they were of Italian descent. Many of them spoke Italian. Soon I was invited to Sunday dinners at some of their houses. I went to the local dances. It was at one of these dances where I met Joe. Joe's family started to invite me to Sunday dinners. I would attend Mass. I would see Joe at church. I would still go to the dances. Me and Joe, we would dance the night away. That's where we fell in love.
It is still hard to believe that something so wonderful can come out of the ugliness of this war. Renzo and I fell in love.
The war in Europe ended in May of 1945. I was transported back to Italy. I pledged my love to Joe. I swore we would be back together someday. We had to communicate by a letter. I was not very good at writing love letters, but I tried. I would write short letters every week. I would tell Joe about my family, my life in Italy, about my dreams of the future. Of course, I tried to express my love for Joe. I could not wait to read her next letter.
I was heartbroken when Renzo was sent back to Italy. I wrote him daily and anxiously waited for his letters. I told him news of my family and my brother's safe return to Pueblo. I told him news of Pueblo and told Renzo how much I missed him.
One day, in the spring of 1946, I wrote this letter. My dearest Joe, I am so confused. When I was a prisoner, all I could think about was returning to my home, to my family. But once I got back to Milan, all I could think about was you. The more I thought, the more I realized I could not live without you. Will you marry me? Yes, your father said it's okay as long as we stay in Pueblo.
I received Renzo's proposal. I told my family. I noticed smiles on my mother and father's faces. My father told me that Renzo had written him and asked him permission to ask me to marry him. He had said yes.
Soon I received this response to my marriage proposal. My dearest Renzo, with all of my heart, yes.
That spring, I made arrangements to travel to Milan, to meet Renzo's parents and family, and to be married in Italy. The trip was long. We had to cross the United States by train, a ship to Italy, and then a train to Milan.
Joe.
Renzo! Renzo's family were waiting for me at the train station. As soon as we could make arrangements, Renzo and I were married. We exchanged our vows in front of Mount Carmel with our family and our friends.
I, Renzo, take you just to be my lawful husband, to have and to hold in this day forward, for better or worse, for richer or poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do us apart.
I, Josephine, take you, Renzo, as my lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better or for worse, for richer or for poorer, in sickness and in health, until death do us apart.
Now may we enjoy our honeymoon.